Hey, welcome to Koinos Concepts. Koinos Concepts is a short mini-series of presentations designed to give a brief but detailed introduction to the Koinos blockchain. This is part 6, Koinos Proof of Burn, the consensus mechanism. Proof of Burn is a method that allows users to reach consensus by combining the best parts of proof of work and the best parts of proof of stake. In Koinos Proof of Burn specifically, there's no need to acquire any mining-specific hardware like proof of work, where you need GPUs, ASICs, or CPU rigs. That's because all of the mining is actually done virtually, using virtual hash power and virtual miners. There's also no slashing conditions to mitigate bad behavior like proof of stake. That's because there is no stake, and all the slashing is done through burning. How proof of burn operates. The principal operation is rather very simple. The user burns coin and they receive a mining token in the form of an NFT, much like an LP token on a decentralized exchange. That mining NFT assigns virtual hash power based on how much was burned. Once the user has a mining token, they run a Koinos cluster with the block producer microservice to begin virtual mining. During the virtual mining process, the operator of the Koinos cluster has to maintain connection to the network the entire time. It requires them to run their hardware. That hardware can be general hardware that's easily acquirable on a consumer level. Now, if the user does not want to run their own cluster, they will eventually be able to opt in on joining a virtual mining pool. Virtual mining pools are not native to Koinos. However, users can implement smart contracts that allow people to form together to create virtual mining pools. Lastly, the miners that burn their coin will earn their burn back. They will earn what they burned to receive the mining token back, and they get rewarded a newly minted coin token until the expiration of the NFT miner. There are some variations on how much yield you get back and how much time it takes to earn that burn back. But first, let's do a couple comparisons on proof of burn, proof of work, and proof of stake. The first comparison is power consumption. We know that proof of work consumes large quantities of electricity to perform the calculations. Proof of stake is a much more energy efficient system, but it requires a large number of validators to prevent malicious attacks. The reason for the large number of validators are all of the attack vectors that proof of stake opens up. However, many of these attack vectors are actually mitigated by allowing your stake to be slashed. This leads to the question of whether or not block producers actually own their tokens or not. Koinos Proof of Burn does not need validators like proof of stake. It is much more similar to proof of work. So theoretically, less kilowatts are consumed per transaction because validation is not necessary. The next comparison are points of centralization. On proof of work, specialized hardware leads to centralization. This concentrates block producers into an elite class of people who can afford and are able to acquire specific mining rigs for proof of work. This is commonly seen in Bitcoin, where the largest farms acquire large amounts of ASIC computers that are specifically designed to mine Bitcoin. Proof of stake, on the other hand, forces token centralization. The more stakes someone has, the more yield they have. Unfortunately, many tokens are also on exchanges, so therefore the exchange attack can be plausible. Proof of stake requires the distribution of tokens to be either very wide or centralized into a very trusted party. This makes proof of stake actually quite centralized. On Koinos Proof of Burn, on the other hand, it allows anyone to burn coin to mine, and each miner who burns their coin has an equal opportunity to write a block. The next comparison is the cost of attack. Proof of work blockchains requires acquisition of 51% of the hash power. That equates to the hardware that represents the hash power, and in terms of large networks, this can be very, very costly. On proof of stake, attacks require acquisition of 51% of the tokens. This actually is not as hard as you would imagine. Some chains launch with a large number of tokens that are locked away for the developer. Over time, much of the tokens end up on exchanges, and therefore, there's a possibility of the exchange using the tokens to perform the attack. This is what happened to Steam when it was purchased by the Tron Foundation. On Koinos Proof of Burn, the attacks require the acquisition of 51% of the virtual hash power. In order to acquire hash power, however, the attacker must burn coin. This leads to an obvious situation where the moment you burn your coin to attack the network, you're forced to perform honest behaviors and write blocks honestly in order to even recoup your burn. The outcome of the reward for attacking the network becomes far, far less than actually producing valid blocks. Another comparison are the rewards. On proof of work, miners earn rewards based on finding the correct hash. So the more hash power you have, the greater chances you have of earning. However, all of the hashes have equal opportunity to earn the reward. On proof of stake, stakers earn more with increasing more amounts of stake. This forces smaller stakers to have less opportunity to earn the reward. On Koinos Proof of Burn, miners earn based on a virtual mining algorithm. It's very similar to the random nature of proof of work, and the more you burn, the more chances you of writing a block. However, the reward for small or large burns are equal. On the left, we have what people believe proof of stake to be. It assumes equality. But in reality, on the right, proof of stake actually allows people who have high concentrations of tokens to earn more. What it actually does is that it incentivizes block producers to acquire more and more tokens, because the more tokens you acquire, the more yield you generate. In the middle, we have a representation of true equality. Proof of work and Koinos Proof of Burn both provide a user, no matter how small their hash power is, the opportunity to write the block and earn a large reward. Here are some answers to some common questions about Koinos Proof of Burn. There are no limits to the number of miners, and there is no limit to the virtual hash power. If you want to acquire more, you simply burn more. If there are more miners participating, the longer the return on burn is and the lower the rewards could be. NFT miners also expire, and in order to acquire new miners, you always must re-burn. On Koinos Proof of Burn, slashing occurs first. That slashing is the burn you initially do. This forces mandatory good behavior in order to recoup your burn. There is no need to run a mining node to participate in mining because there will be mining pools. It is possible that excessive burning could lead to temporary periods of token deflation. That means there are more miners that burn tokens that can be created with inflation alone. And until those tokens get created, there will be a temporary period of token deflation. So that's it for Koinos Concepts. Visit koinosforum.com for more information. Every single video in the Koinos concept lessons are 2 to 10 minutes, and they focus on the big ideas of Koinos.